You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, phone number 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sacco is the rector of Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director. Mark, it is winter outside.
It's cold.
That
It
wind.
is cold.
That wind.
And a little bit of spit rain, which almost feels like snow.
I can't believe 3 weeks ago yesterday, Easter Sunday, gorgeous weather in Chicago weekend, and that whole week, like 75 to 80, like Monday through Friday. Here it is 3 weeks later, we touched the month of May, Mary's month, and it's like 41 degrees out there, and the wind chill factor feels colder. It's like for bear's weather.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be about 60 this
The average
time
high
of year.
about 62 degrees, exactly right. So how's your weekend?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. We keep celebrating my wife's birthday.
39th birthday.
Yeah, 39th. We had a wonderful lunch with you. That was great.
Oh, it's fun.
And then
Over at Jake's.
And some of her friends took her out Saturday. And then yesterday, a friend of ours, Chris Murphy, who you know.
Oh, sure.
At St. Nicholas in Evanston. He made dinner for us. And Father Joe Tito joined us from,
Did he? Yeah,
from Our Lady of Mercy.
Chris and Joe, tremendous, men of faith.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, the White Sox finally won a game yesterday, in a miraculous way, 7 in the ninth to beat Tampa Bay 12-9 and snap a 10-game losing streak. And the Cubs are still, they
They're
lost
doing
to
okay. They're
Florida.
doing
They're doing okay. They're like a game over 500. They're holding their own.
Mm-hmm.
And every game they lost was by one run.
Right.
3 tough losses. And the White Sox, well, they win one finally, but they've got to start winning some games. But they got a long way to go.
How was First Communion?
It was beautiful. The girls in their beautiful white dresses and the boys with their suit coats and little bow ties or ties. And as a priest, I've always loved First Holy Communion with the children. So angelic, such a special day, and the kids were fabulous.
Nice.
And the parents, and we had a big crowd.
Great.
Parents and grandparents and siblings. So great program lined up again, 312-255-8408. Also on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. May 1 today is Religious Brothers Day. It's no coincidence that our first guest on today's program is a religious brother. But not only is he a religious brother, he's also a muralista, which we'll have to learn what that means, educator, and a cowboy. Not a Dallas cowboy, but a cowboy. Joining us in studio for the first half hour of this program is Brother Mark Elder, CM, Congregation of the Mission. Mark, welcome to the program this morning.
Well, thank you for letting me be here. This is great to be here, Mark, Father.
Mark, get a little bit closer to the microphone there.
All right.
Yeah, and now, first of all, let our listeners know, what is a muralista?
A muralist.
Oh, good.
It's just a
Yeah,
Spanish word for it. I just like to challenge people in my art, and that's you have to understand that with visual art, this is a great form of evangelization, and if the art isn't challenging, it really, in my mind, isn't serving anybody.
Can I back up?
If you want to back
okay,
up.
well,
Have you got room?
Thank you. I do.
That's good.
I think our listeners would probably like to know, what is a brother?
Good question. Love it. A brother is a member of any community, male community, an equal member of that community. And in my case, I just didn't want to work on Sundays. No, and yeah, and essentially, I do want to work in the ways that our community works, various instruments for being of service to the poor, any way we can be inventive to serve the poor.
Mm-hmm.
St. Vincent de Paul, our founder back in the 1620s, basically and arguably, it could be said that he, was really the inventor of the nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm.
When you get down to it, the whole concept of what the nonprofit organization in his day represented was that he went from little village, town to town, bringing people together to be of service to the poor in any way that they could, and these various confraternities of charity as a lifelong work. And it's, many of his original organizations are still thriving in France to this day.
Now, Mark, when did you first think about the brotherhood or religious life?
Oh, in the minor seminary when I went to St. Vincent's College. We called it a college. It was high school seminary in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, back in 1969. Sure, I was thinking.
So you were 14 years old.
15, but who's counting?
And you were at that time. Your family was living where?
In North Carolina.
So you went from North Carolina to Missouri.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, what interest did you know the brothers at that point, or how did that work?
Not a real one. This is all providence when you get down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
The whole notion, and I can go very deep with that, even starting with my father, who was a Marine Corps fighter pilot back in the day, like I told you off.
And by the way, folks, Mark's father fought in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam
Wow,
That's right.
as a Marine fighter pilot.
unbelievable.
God bless him.
Flew with John Glenn back in the day in 1948.
Wow.
Young lieutenants. that
Who in
they were.
1962 orbited the Earth
Yep.
on mission
Same man.
as an astronaut.
Yep. My father had an accident in 48 that basically he walked away from, and if you saw the pictures, you would say, holy cow, how did he survive that? And he walked away from it 5 years before I was born.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
A plane crash?
Well, innocently enough, he was on the tarmac taxiing off, and one of his fellow squad people landed right on top of him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
he walked away from that.
Hmm.
And little things that happen to your life, it's like, okay, that certainly is one that makes you think, okay, I'm here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my purpose is, yes, I'm sharing my art to serve the poor in any way that I can, to be inventive so that I can help not only evangelize, but certainly allow them to allow the poor in various communities to show what is of value in their local communities and share their faith to anyone who comes and visit their community.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're teaching at DePaul.
Yes, sir.
How do you see students in this generation?
Well, students are seeking many of the same things that you and I are seeking still. The challenges really come down to understanding that they're looking for small, intimate groups. And we need to be inventive to really serve that need in whatever will attract them, first of all, and really grow from that. The days of the huge crowds that we normally had, we're challenged that way. So we got to find different ways to really evangelize in smaller groups.
That's real consistent with your thinking.
Absolutely. Now, you've been at DePaul University for how long, Mark?
Oh, I'm in my 28th year. I'm still a spring chicken.
28th year. So
Yes, sir.
where's your residence?
Over there, just in Lincoln Park, right there at Racine and Webster.
Sure. Now, the thing is, you introduced you as a muralist
Thank you much. I dress this way. This scarf that I'm wearing, this cowboy scarf. Yeah, I look great in it. But
Is that a brother garb?
why, yes, it is. So good of you to point that out. Being an artist, I'm allowed to deal with performance art. So I wear this to challenge people. It's another image of Christ out in the street. Here I am, this cowboy in the city. Okay, yeah, people are, challenged by that, if innocently enough. And then they get to know me and say, oh, well, okay, we understand where you're coming from now. If you can accept the symbol of what this scarf means, well, I'm just a guy that's working for the poor out in the field, like a regular field worker.
Mm-hmm.
A cowboy hand, yes.
So you've had this image of a cowboy going back how many years more?
Oh, Hopalong Cassidy days. Come on.
Did you ever live in the South?
Sure. We moved every 3 years, whether we needed to or not.
Wow. So what states did you live in the South?
Oh, well, Tennessee and North and South Carolina, and, from time to time, the various places, visit my aunt down in Florida, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we spent
So which means your father was born around 1923?
Sure.
Yeah, well, my father, exactly. My dad would have been 100 this month.
Yeah.
And probably your dad too, because Mark and I are the same age. I'm 8 or 9 months older, even though you look a lot older.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you. I resemble that. Yes.
Now, as you look at, do you teach art?
Yes, sir. I do. I teach mural painting. I deal with internships for nonprofits. A student will come to my internship class, and I will make sure that they can use their art-related skills for a nonprofit of whatever sort it might be. If they're a graphic artist, if they're a video artist, if they're a straight-up studio painter, I will find a place for them at a nonprofit so that they can, first of all, build their portfolio, but be of service to the nonprofit.
Now, our YouTube viewers are seeing beautiful. These are examples of your artwork and your students' artwork?
Yeah, right up on the screen is the last pillar that's under the Fullerton L station, called the story of the little school under the L. And it was a 7-year project with my students to tell DePaul's 125-year story, ongoing story, of the more particular value-oriented things that make DePaul great.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to take a little break. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're with Brother Mark Elder, and we're going to continue our conversation about not only your artwork, but that journey as a brother. I have a friend who's the head of the Sacred Heart Brothers in New Orleans, and getting to know him as a friend, I really began to clearly understand the brother charism and how important that is for our church.
I'm looking forward to that conversation very much.
So we'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Hey everyone, I'm John here with your 2-minute tour. We're here in Lincoln Park on DePaul's Wish Field, taking a look at the beautiful St. Vincent de Paul mural, We Are DePaul 2.
Hey,
Isn't that right, Brother Mark?
You bet.
All right, thank you. We're also here with Father Paul and his student Jay from CDM. We're going to take another look at what you guys are doing in a moment, but first, Brother Mark, can you tell me more about this beautiful mural here on McCabe Hall?
Yeah, well, We Are DePaul 2 is the second giant St. Vincent, the first one being over there on Kenmore, back for the centennial in 1999. But this one was moved over here because they built over the other one. So the entire portrait of Vincent is made up of little bitty 2-inch faces. Here's a brick size one right here. Rubber stamp portraits. They have faculty, staff, and students. And they represent us coming together as a community to represent the virtues of Vincent to the rest of the world.
Wow, that's beautiful. You mind if we take a closer look?
I was hoping you'd ask.
All right, let's do it. Now, Father Paul, he's got a tiny little camera in his helicopter there. He's going to get us a closer look of the mural. And can you tell us a little bit more how you made this?
Well, I'll tell you, it's made entirely, as I said, of little bitty faces. And as we get closer with the helicopter, you'll be able to see the west wall has the normal representation of Vincent. The north side, the windows are part of the design itself. Muralists like to call that absorption. So that checkerboard north side that you see over there, well, that's digital process as we know it these days. And as it comes around the corner, we have this completion of the portrait itself in a very recognizable form that we all can accept.
And now, how long did it take you to put that all together?
Well, it took about 9 months to really research it as such, but only when we came here to paint, 2.5 weeks to really do it. I had 10 students helping me, and basically what you're looking at is a huge paint by number, which was hand drawn by me.
Wow, that's incredible.
You know, for people who come up close to it, the whole point is that they really see that it is us as a university community coming together to represent the real values and virtues of what Vincent standing for in his lifetime.
All right, Brother Mark, thank you so much.
John, thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for showing us your cool toys and getting us, a closer look at the mural. All right, everyone, I'm John, and that is your 2-minute tour.
I had a lot of fun doing that.
Amazing.
Oh, I can imagine.
I just wish all our viewers or listeners could have seen that.
Right.
They can easily go to YouTube, put it in the search box, St. Vincent de Paul mural. It'll be the first thing that shows up.
When was that story done?
That was done, I'm going to say 5 years ago. It was a very hot day out on the turf.
I can imagine it was beautiful, and so
thank you much.
I mean, it's hard to even describe. If you were only listening on radio, you missed the whole visual.
Right.
But how tall is that wall?
Well, that particular building is 70 feet tall, and it's 36 feet wide, even going around the corner. And when I did it, the original one, which was on Kenmore facing south, you could actually see it from the Sears Tower.
Wow.
Which is kind of fun. The whole point was, originally in 1999 when I first did it, was to specifically let anybody who's visiting DePaul, especially students, walk up to and say, "Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that," and it would dawn them, "Oh, I'm part of this." Oh, and the theology would really permeate them as to what it is that we as a community represent to the rest of the world.
How many individual faces comprise the mural?
Well, I had to really synthesize things, and I ended up with 16 individuals that, in one sense or another, represent the DePaul community, faculty, staff, students.
Now, it's interesting.
Amazing.
Well, because there's a evangelization and a theology behind what
Yep.
you're doing.
Yep.
And before the
Talk
break,
about the face of Christ, the body of Christ.
That's exactly what we're trying to go for. I'm doing a similar scenario in Philadelphia, Germantown, exactly, at a school that I have a mural at already. They asked me to come back and do the other side of the mural, of the school, and it'll, essentially the mural I have there now is very much powerful in that neighborhood, and I intend to add an African American figure of Christ, all made up of little rubber stamps, once again, of their students.
beautiful.
Wow.
And that's, once again, it's the point. And you'd be able to walk up to it and say, "Oh, I know that child. Oh, I know her. Oh, yeah." And yes, the effect is that they feel a part of what the school is
That's
doing.
fascinating. Now,
Amazing,
maybe
yeah,
you could
fantastic.
share with our listeners, because it is the charism and the commitment of a brother is unique in our church.
Yes, it is. Yeah, very.
Explain to our listeners maybe that role, but also why you chose, or why you were chosen, or why you were led in that direction.
I think I was led in that direction because I found out, studying philosophy, you really do have to be committed to really studying that pursuit. And I just kind of found out early in my seminary days that, I love community. I love being a part of something that's bigger. But I wasn't, I just did not feel that I was attracted to really studying what it took for philosophy and theology in that way. Now, given that notion, I sit at dinner every night with priests. I pick up a lot of theology. I pick up a lot of philosophy, and occasionally I'll be in a position where I'll point out to them, prudently, as to what I'm seeing and where such things come from. The whole notion of that portrait of Vincent had to come from, yes, discussion.
But have you seen the numbers in your community go down?
Like everybody else's,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a matter of, once again, adjusting to what the today's conditions are allowing us to either do or not do.
Now, Brother Paul Benarczyk lived with you folks.
Yes, he did.
When he was running.
Great guy.
Yeah. So he's now head of the Holy Cross.
Yes, he is.
Order as a brother.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think essentially, times being what they are, whoever has the talent to lead should be in a position to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Is Brother Paul a congregation of the mission?
No.
No. He's a Holy Cross. But
he leads the congregation?
No, he
the
leads
whole
the whole thing.
congregation.
Correct, is what I mean.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's that's
brothers and priests.
Yes.
That's not a first, is it?
No, it isn't. And as a matter of fact, years ago, one of our own confreres, Brother Tim Offerman, who taught in South Chicago at St. Michael's, the old parish down there.
Sure.
Great first grade teacher, great elementary school teacher. He was our superior for a few years. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So it really isn't new. It's just, yes, the people who are able to really have enough common sense to lead should lead.
What I find fascinating, Mark, and that is, God gives each one of us different gifts. For example, your gift of murals, being an artist. Mark is an incredible singer, plays guitar and sings. But the key is, a gift is only a gift if it's given away.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
if gifts that God gives us, if you don't use them, they're not gifts.
Well,
they're
you're
wasted.
exactly right, because this is why I'm in community-supported public art, where the philosophy is to have a conversation with the community as to what the community finds valuable and needs to say to its visitors and anybody coming to their locale. Okay, once that conversation happens, people are invited to help fabricate the artwork. And this is what I teach, essentially. And through that, people really feel an ownership over that artwork. Mm-hmm. And yes, as kind of intimate, they will defend that artwork. And the notion of graffiti goes down. Why? Because and everybody has a sense that this is us, and that artwork is that representation of us.
Now, I get the impression you'll be 70 in October.
Whether I like it or not.
But you have no intention of retaring.
Not for now. No,
you've got a lot of energy.
As I'm able.
And a lot of great ideas, too.
That is just amazing. And any closing thoughts before we bring the program to an end?
Well, the notion is that we're all gifted with gifts, and we need to share them with others. I was attracted to community because I liked the people that I was living with, and just wanted to go on with that, and share as I can, being inventive for the poor, which is what Vince calls us to do. Good way to end the program.
I want to thank in a very special way Brother Mark Elder, a congregation of the mission, who is a
for the opportunity.
muralista, educator, and cowboy. Go ahead.
Can I add one thing? You saw our producer give you 2 minutes, and you gave him the peace sign back.
It's all good. It's all good.
About peace and love.
Yes.
Brother Mark, first of all, today being, Religious Brothers Day, congratulations.
Yes,
thank
you for your commitment.
And, thank you. Keep up the great work at DePaul, and it's a tremendous, tremendous university. And so God bless you, and keep those murals going, and
you bet.
The artwork. So I want to thank in a special way again Brother Mark Elder. This is Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750, 312-255-8408. Get us also on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz, Mark Teresi. Again, Brother Mark, was great to have you in studio.
It was wonderful.
And to our listeners, stay with us. And again, do not touch that dial as we go to break.
community is core to Catholic Charities' founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408. Also get us on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Zakowicz and Mark Teresi. Mark, that was a wonderful interview
really
with Brother
was.
Mark Elder. What a gifted artist, and he comes about sharing Christ through his many gifts and ministries.
And in the best sense of the word, he's a character.
He's a character.
Yeah.
It really is. But we also have another character in the second half of our program with a beautiful lead-in. For centuries, the Catholic Church has set aside the entire month of Mary to honor Mary, the month of May, Mother of God. Not just a day in May, mind you, but the entire month is Mary's month. Joining us for the second half of today's program via Zoom is the esteemed Mariologist and Catholic Theological Union faculty member, Father Richard Fragamini, well-known, great friend. God bless you always. Welcome to the program, Father Richard Fragamini. How are you, Richard?
Thank you very
Good to
much.
see
Do
you.
we need to do a sound check? Is this
You're
working
doing
clearly?
Beautiful. Hear you.
Perfect.
Hear you loud and
You
clear.
can tell he's experienced at this.
Oh yeah, and it.
I am.
I know.
I also teach adjunct at DePaul. I teach 3 courses a year at DePaul. I teach in the religious studies department there. So
Do
I'm
you
familiar
really?
with Mark's work, and it's wonderful to see him in person again, and certainly honor him on Brothers' Day,
Yes.
as well as today, the beginning of May, the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker.
Exactly. May 1.
That we honor as well. So in the month that we dedicate to Mary, we begin by honoring her husband, her spouse, on this this feast day of Joseph the Worker.
And I just saw Father Richard Fragamini last Friday as Sister Helen Prejean. How do you pronounce Helen's last name?
Préjean.
Préjean.
It's a good French name.
The author of Dead Man Walking, and she was a marvelous speaker for the Catholic Lawyers Guild, and hadn't seen Father Richard in a long time, and saw him Friday in person, and now via the radio program. Now, with your background, Richard, you're actually ordained for the Diocese of Albany, New York?
Yeah. I am a presbyter priest of the Diocese of Albany, New York, and 30 years ago I was invited by Catholic Theological Union to be part of their faculty. And so my bishop at the time suggested that I try it out for a few years, see if I like teaching there in Chicago and if they like me. And 30 years later, I'm still here because obviously it was a nice connection. So I teach sacramental theology, and I teach preaching and presiding at the Catholic Theological Union. It's quite an event.
And also you run the shrine at Notre Dame.
No, Pompeii.
Pompeii, Our Lady of Pompeii.
I also am the rector of the Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii. Father Jack Wall was the first rector, and he needed an Italian because, after all, he was Irish from
Old St. Pat's
Church, and he was helping out the Italian community as it was getting on its feet. And with this shrine, and now again, this shrine will be 30 years next year, and I've been the rector of this shrine for the past 18 years. Actually, I've been directing this.
And I was just going to say, very creative, and I don't want to sidetrack our discussion on Mary, but Richard, you produced that wonderful 40 Days of Easter. Could you talk a little about that? And I'm saying it only because he dedicated it in part to our son, Marty, we would come down on Holy Saturday and do music, and eventually Marty cantored. Marty and Shannon just had their 5th daughter, by the way, Eliza Josephine. So little Marty. But
it's called it's a book on the Exultet I did for World Library. It was meditations, 50 meditations on the Exultet for the 50 days of Easter, which is pretty germane also for the month of May, because the month of May, which is dedicated to Mary, maybe for the past 200-300 years, the Catholic Church has seen it as a devotional time. Certainly is the month of flowers. That's part of the reason why it's dedicated to Mary, because all of the April showers bring May flowers.
Yeah.
Well, the May flowers are to bring Mary flowers, and so one of the songs for one of the songs, and there you see an image of Mary at the shrine with the crown that we're going to be that they place on her head. This was a few years ago. This picture was taken, and there am I wearing the white vestment with the blue on it on Mary's festival day. But you're showing all these great photos.
They're beautiful.
And this is the children coming to crown her statue, because we have an image of Mary in the icon of Our Lady of Pompeii in the main altar, but you can't get up to that to crown it. In fact, it already is crowned. But just to go back to your point, the crowning of Mary is a very old image, but the month of May used to actually have the various feasts of Mary, because I believe it's because we're in the middle of the Easter season, and the month of May starts with the feast of St. Joseph the Worker, or the optional memorial, if you want to be accurate about this, and then it ends now on the 31st of May with the visitation of Mary to Elizabeth. But the old calendar, which is still in use in some of the more traditional parishes that use the old rite, they still celebrate on the feast of the 31st of May the coronation of Mary. So the month of May ended with the coronation of Mary, and the coronation of Mary now is in August, which is another Marian month, because the month of August we celebrate the Assumption of Mary in the Roman Rite, sometimes known as the Dormition in the Orthodox or the Eastern rites. And then the coronation of Mary has been moved to the octave of the Assumption on the 22nd of August. So the month of May is in the middle of the Easter season. I wrote the book on the 50 days of Easter. So in the 50 days of Easter, we honor Mary, who is the center of the church.
Beautiful.
Because even now, Pope Francis has dedicated a feast to Mary, which will be, let me get the calendar, which will be celebrated on Memorial Day this year, the 29th of August, which is the Feast of Mary, Mother of the Church. That's a new feast day, which will be in always the day after Pentecost, but it falls in the month of May. So I think also you get the song, bring flowers of the rarest, bring flowers of the fairest to crown Mary, because Mary is the month of May is a flower month. And in France, for instance, the Muget, the lilies of the valley are seen as Mary's flowers, and oftentimes the statues of Mary are made with a crown of the lilies of the valley, which are also very fragrant. But the story with the lilies of the valley is that they're little tears. Mm-hmm. They look like little tears if you see a lily of the valley. Mm-hmm. And these become were the tears of Mary shed at Calvary. Now she wears as the glorious crown of fragrant beauty.
Now, Richard, a question I would have, Richard, and that is, okay, what you're sharing is so beautiful, but someone would say, okay, how can Mary relate to my life? How does Mary speak to me?
Yeah, and this is a very important question, because we had in the 20th century, 1950, the doctrine of the Assumption of Mary was declared a doctrine of the Church by Pius XII, and it was considered at the time to be a very significant document. Oh, now they're showing my whole image here. You see St. Joseph the Worker.
Exactly.
That I
over your right shoulder.
Right over my right shoulder here. But the doctrine of the Assumption of Mary was considered by some who do religious studies to be a very significant doctrine because it exalts Mary into the heavenly realms. So now we have, in a sense, even as it says in the preface for the Feast of the Assumption of Mary, it has this sense of she's taken into the heavenly realms. Now, body and soul, we now have the second fruits of the resurrection. The first fruits being Christ, and then Mary, and then the whole community of humanity at the last day. But the question you have, Father Greg, is important, because you're saying she's exalted into the transcendent realms of the kingdom of heaven. What role does she have to play with me in my valley of tears, where I'm not shedding tears of the lilies of the valley, but I'm shedding real tears because of displacement or war or violence. And so what we do see more and more in a revised Mariology, and certainly in prayers to Mary, the accent on Mary first as a disciple of Christ, who then journeys with us in the struggles of being a disciple of Christ. Mm-hmm. Then Mary is seen as an immigrant, being displaced, as many immigrants are when she was displaced with Joseph and the infant Christ into Egypt. So we see the devotions to Mary not as something transcendent, as in the glory of the Assumption, but in the everyday experience of being an unwed mother.
Exactly.
And the experience of what that means for many, and being someone who, as a displaced person in Egypt, struggles with poverty and looking for the affection and care of others. So you do see, in a revised sense of Mariology, a strong sense, and besides that, even the apparitions of Mary that are part of the devotional life of Catholicism. Guadalupe, for instance, the image is Mary is portrayed as a pregnant native person who visits the native community there in Guadalupe and Tepeyac with a message of hope in so much struggle. So this is one of the ways I think we get into to seeing Mary as our sister.
We're going to go to a break
and
here,
not
Richard.
only our mother.
We're going to take a look.
Our mother, and not only the queen of the universe assumed into heaven, but also Mary as our sister.
Right. We're going to take a little break. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago. 312-258-408. You can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. On a little aside, when we adopted our daughters in Mexico, Guadalupe was someone that journeyed with people. The women there would say, "I'm walking with my lady. My lady told me this." It was a wonderful experience to make it real. You know, we'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
Ancestry and genealogy are more important every day. People all over the world are wanting to learn more about their family heritage for personal and for health reasons. At Catholic Charities, we are hearing from adults who lived for a brief time at St. Vincent's Orphanage, the wonderful life-affirming agency that operated out of our headquarters for 91 years, serving thousands of women, children, and families until it closed in 1972. Our post-adoption services help adults who want to learn more about their experience at St. Vincent's. Our compassionate staff members provide whatever family background information they can offer, along with support and reunion services. To learn more, call 312-655-7093. That's 312-655-7093. The spirit of St. Vincent's lives on in the inspiring stories that continue to emerge today.
We're back. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're speaking with Father Richard Fragamini, talking about the month of May as Mary's month, the different images of Mary that we relate to. And Father Greg has a question.
You know, first of all, Father Fragamini is an outstanding priest, loved by so many.
I'm learning.
And you are a great educator, Richard, and teacher, and it just flows off your lips. But a question I have, and that is, in all your years teaching, and so much of your life has been on sacramental theology, on Mariology, and then what is the greatest myth about Mary that you sometimes have to clear up with people about Mary?
Yeah, one of our other great, and again, I'm not a Chicago priest, but I feel
you're like
priest.
one of ours.
Yeah, you are.
I feel that after all
us.
these years. But one of the great Chicago priests of happy memory is Father Andrew Greeley.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
actually, one of his most interesting books was called The Mary Myth. If you recall, that was the actual title
Mm-hmm.
of the book. And but I like to see it more in terms of symbolic. To use a phrase of a colleague of mine, of symbolic density. That Mary plays a role of great richness in our church, in our world. She the fact is that we have a historical person, Mary of Nazareth, and that in the experience of her life, we have a exemplar of faith and commitment to the covenant, and we have are given as an exemplar. We're given what it looks like to be a disciple of Christ. And one of the central, if you would, central elements of that is this commitment to God, regardless of what. And so you see in the Gospel of Luke the response that Mary gives to the invitation of the angel, where she says, "Let it be done to me according to your word." Later, you'll see Jesus teaching the disciples the same prayer, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." I oftentimes wonder, and I reconstruct in my own brain, that Mary was the one who taught him how to say that, and gradually teaches the disciples, because she's the one who says it first.
And Joseph may have been involved in that too.
And certainly when you get the Gospel of Matthew, and Joseph is the one who actually says that, and therefore, very good, Mark, because therefore we celebrate Saint Joseph in the month of May.
Right.
I mean, I do think you get this experience of partnering, and in the Mass now, thanks to Benedict XVI, you get the words, "We remember Joseph, her beloved spouse," in the Eucharistic prayers, which was an addition that we were given.
Good.
So when you say the myth of Mary, I mean, sure, there's a lot of stories, devotional stories of Mary. So for instance, my mother learned something that Mary would answer your prayers for good weather. So I remember once she really wanted good weather, and it was raining, but she wanted good weather. We were going to go on a family outing or something. And I remember she took a statue of Mary and she hung it out on the clothesline or something, or put it on the table in the back, kind of like to say, "All right, Mary, you're gonna be out in the rain,
right,
and until it stops raining." You get that kind of intercessory side of this. But then you get the Hail Mary, the prayer itself, the Hail Mary, where you have where we quote the Gospel of Luke. And then we add the other piece, which comes later on in our history, probably in the Middle Ages: "Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen." And then you do see that even in the Rosary of John Paul II, where he writes his beautiful and apostolic letter on the Rosary, that the style of Pompeii, and this is why I'm so honored to be part of the Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii here in Chicago, which is a sister shrine to the shrine in Italy, Pompeii, Italy. You can change those. "Holy Mary, in your Annunciation, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen." you do see that there's a troping on that second part of the Hail Mary, again, to show the devotional connection to her as she accompanies us. I really like that, Mark, about in Mexico.
Thanks. It was powerful to us to hear that story and that relationship. Now, Richard, a little bit about the shrine so people understand where it is, how they can visit.
The Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii was a former parish which 30 years ago was an Italian national parish. It was closed. Cardinal Bernardine and Bishop Paprocki were the ones who came up with an idea that perhaps we can allow this national parish to become a shrine dedicated to Our Lady of the Rosary. And so they're showing our website, opening our front page of our website there. But what you see is that we are a place that is a gift from the Italian community to the Archdiocese of Chicago. And that is really a very important part of our mission statement. They were a gift from the community of the Italians to the community of the Archdiocese of Chicago as a place to pray for Mary. And we have just in the capital campaign, this is going to be renewed. We're looking to the new pipe organ will be put in from the sisters in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and it'll be a lovely center for music and the arts for the city as we continue our journey as a shrine.
And tell people where it's located.
Yeah, where's it located, Richard?
Oh, it's located in the Old Italian neighborhood, near Taylor Street and Racine. We're right near the University of Illinois in Chicago, and on Lexington and Racine, here in the old neighborhood of the Italian community.
Now, what would be the weekend mass schedule?
We have two celebrations of the Eucharist on Sundays, 8:30 and 11. 11 is our what we call our pilgrimage mass. People come on pilgrimage to celebrate a wedding anniversary, for instance, or a baptismal anniversary, or for other Italian saints that we do, so we celebrate the Eucharist twice on the weekend, and then, of course, we'll have celebration during the week for the feast days of Mary, and then we do cultural events. We have all kinds of cultural, musical events, food events, especially food events, because when you're talking about Italians,
you're talking
their
food.
love for Mary, it's unequal to their love for food.
We need to bring it to a close. I want to thank in a very special way Father Richard Fragamini, who Mariologist and sacramental theologian, teaches at Catholic Theological Union and DePaul University, and the rector of our Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii. Father Richard Fragamini, you are always welcome to the program. You are an outstanding guest, great priest, so thank you for being with us today. It's always great to see you, Richard.
Yes, it really
either
is.
on Zoom or in person.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Greg. Thank you, Mark. And I do have an idea which I'll get to talk to you about at a future time.
Give me a call. I want to thank also to Mark Teresi, co-host. Great work of our producer-engineers, Clint Cottrell and Michael May. To our listeners, God bless and have a great week and stay warm today.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.